can't even express to you how glorious it's been. It's been such a roller coaster ride, and there have been so many bumps in the road and so much opposition and so many negative things come at me. But I also relish in that because you know that that's the only way you can get stronger. Iron sharpens iron. The more opposition, the more you come back, the stronger you get. So they're just building. They're building just as they built the slaves in the field. And we could talk about that, but that's another story for another day. They're building me into something that they can't contend with down the line, and I'm grateful for that. I know the power of words because I study history, and I know that we learned in school about Christopher Columbus discovering America. There's even a parade every year in New York honoring Christopher Columbus. This great, heroic, historic figure. Someone wrote that in a book. It's not true. It's a lie. But we repeat the lie because it was written in a book. So this journey, for me, is about correcting history, making sure that there are books in the universe that represent perspectives that aren't already out there, that there are books in the universe that tell stories about people who aren't getting their stories told now, that there are books in the universe that a young kid, like I was a young kid, can pick up today and 10 years from now have it impact their lives, or 50 years from now have it impact the life of another kid, that there are books in the world that as Barack Obama has done, that can shift the paradigm and shift the way people view and perceive us. And I say us because that's important. We don't control our history right now. We don't control any media outlets. When we did on BET, I want to just take a moment to say something about Bob Johnson. We squandered that with images of misogyny and drugs and violence and sex. We fed these kids more junk than any white person would have done. So if you have an opportunity to do this, you have to. I'm in an era right now with street novels being prevalent, and I've been accused of falling in lockstep with that. And I always say, well, read the books that I've actually participated in. Sure, some of the people may have been unsavory characters. Some of them I don't even like as people. But God uses folks. Jesus didn't come into the world and found disciples who looked like him. He went to fishermen and tax collectors, and there were quite a few unsavory characters among the 12 that he picked for a reason, because Jesus can use these people to reach the masses. So even when I'm working with, not mentioning any names, but you'll know if you read my bio, even when I'm working with X person, who I know is not living a certain way, I make sure to put messages in their book because they're going to reach an audience that I'm not going to be able to reach. So even in my publishing house, there may be some books, some titles, and some people that you may raise an eyebrow, but do know that I control that. Every word that comes out, every sentence, I control. And that is power. And I'm going to make sure that those messages are inspiring, edifying, that it's not fast food, but whole food. I was going through the program, and ironically, I get to the back of it, and there's a picture of Nannie Helen Burroughs. And I say ironically because for the last 5 years, I've been working on a book about this woman. And we share a birth sign, so I automatically feel kindred. But her whole bio is very similar to the things that I've been trying to accomplish in my short time on this earth. You know, she was an entrepreneur, an orator, a crusader for literacy. She even founded a school dedicated to the advancement of Negro girls, a school that still exists to this day. And she did all this 100 years ago, when it wasn't necessarily as popular to be black, wasn't as easy to be black, wasn't as motivating to get up every day and do the things that she did. And so I've studied her, and then I find out she created Women's Day. This is why we're here today. 5th time at Bethany, but 100 years ago, Nannie Helen Burroughs decided that we should honor women in churches throughout the country. So what inspired me about her, she wrote a book, a little booklet called The 12 Things a Negro Must Do. That's how long ago